Now, welcome to our chat about movies.
Okay.
It's good.
Yes.
Um, Speaking of monsters,
Yeah.
where did this fascination with monsters come from?
Well, it's right behind me, so it started with King Kong. Yeah, I mean, for sure. But, like, I just when I was a kid, I always watched a lot of old movies with my dad, and just all of them, and I was just fascinated by the monster, always by the creature. I was terrified by King Kong the first time I watched it because I was way too young, and that was, like, a theme in our life, watching movies way too young that I shouldn't have watched. And then my mom liked to read dark, spooky things too, and she took me to the library, so I got into what she was reading. And my grandma always liked to scare people. She had this wolf mask, and she'd come out, werewolf mask, and come out and scare you.
That's awesome.
So, like, it just kind of it was just a natural thing, and my family in general liked to
Yeah.
watch scary movies. And I just remember there was this one time when I was getting a little older, and my brother and sister went somewhere with my dad, and my mom is like, "I think you're old enough to watch Alien," and I'm like, "Oh my god!" It's like the best moment of my life.
Wait, how old
Um,
were you with you?
I don't even. It was like I was probably. I don't want to age myself, but yeah, I was definitely young. But she was a little more responsible, so I was probably somewhat age appropriate. But my
Yeah.
brother and sister were younger, so yeah, they couldn't. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the old monster movies. The thing that scared me, it wasn't even like the monster, it was the way they moved. Like
Hmm.
The Harryhausen like stop motion stuff,
Oh,
like
for sure.
so creepy. And I loved that stuff. And I feel like even when I'm writing stories now, my monsters in my head have a lot of that jittery, like, kind of like
It
stop
it's
motion feel to it.
Yeah, it's in film and in stories, it's writing it is harder, to get that movement, to get that pause in a moment. Like, I realized we just like last night I watched The Boogeyman from 2023 with my daughters finally, and I hadn't watched it. I've been saving it because I'm literally terrified of the boogeyman. It's the one thing that actually really scares me. And so I was really excited to watch it, and it was really well done. It was based on Stephen King thing, and but they did a really good job. But it is so much about just staring at the closet and looking, coming in creepy, getting this movement just right, and getting the scare just right. And it's all just shadows and darkness, and then you see the creature, and I mean, the reveal of a monster is so fun. And so yeah, it can be cheesy too, obviously, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was a lot of different ways.
Yeah, that's like what I love about horror is
Mhm.
the lead up even more than the reveal is just uh, we have this closet in our bathroom here
Yeah.
and the door's open. And at nighttime, if I use the restroom or something, I'm always like, oh God, there's definitely something in there and it's
Yeah.
gonna kill me. Tonight's the night. It's like, why not tonight?
Yeah.
Mm,
It's been waiting for me since I was 4, and it's just
Yeah,
wait it's waiting.
it's like just been waiting. And
Yeah.
then when it finally reveals itself, I'm gonna be like,
Uh,
the
you're gonna be
fun's over now.
yeah, you're gonna be disappointed. I don't know. I think if something actually revealed itself as I look over at my closet, I would be, pretty terrified.
Yeah,
But, yeah, so, no, I mean so, yeah, I think monsters just I think they scratch the right itch. It's like
yeah,
you can explore a lot of humanity through a monster without having to, like, be as preachy. You can get into issues and, social issues. Now, sometimes you can be preachy still, but I do like to explore kind of societal things and, relationships and things through monsters. And,
Do you are
it's not
you
all
in
I write about, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. This is something I'm always curious about with, writers who write horror, but
Mhm.
also, you know, have a passion for social issues and,
Yeah.
wanna change the world basically. Do you intentionally are you intentional about what you're saying in your stories regarding these social issues? Or is it kind of like it just comes out naturally while you write, and then you're like, "Oh, yes, this is what I'm saying."
Well, it I think sometimes with, if we're just talking about the monsters,
Yeah,
sometimes I'll be doing the research, and, that particular monster that research will lead me to the issue. It will
yeah,
lead me to what I feel like exploring, because it's really hard to scare anyone if there isn't a there. It's very hard to do it without some kind of, like, emotional you have to have something the character is going through. And then with
yeah,
monsters, Yeah, so I don't always intentionally do it, but, like, with the research, if the research has lends itself to being like, a lot of these myths will lend itself to, like, persecution against women or the other, just because by nature, a lot of monsters were created to otherize, put a group of people in their place, and so, like, that some of the monsters will just like a siren or the Christmas witch or something like that will lead me to that conversation. I won't go there. That won't be my intention when I start, but it
Yeah.
will bring me there for sure. I mean, with my books here, like with Plastic Girl, which is my speculative YA sci-fi eco-punk trilogy. I mean, there's a lot of scary moments in that, but that is definitely written for me to explore climate and my fears and hopes around it and like all of the crazy science and things that we are doing to our planet, and specifically with plastic and like how much plastic can we consume, have in our environment, have part of us until something transforms. Like how is it changing us from within? And I just kind of took it to that like most dramatic possibility,
Yeah.
and so like yeah. So it depends. But how about you?
I would say the same. The times that I have been very intentional about, saying a message, they always bomb. They're
Wow.
always like they're always and when I say bomb, I mean, for me, they bomb, it's like I read them
It's
back and I'm
hard.
like, "Ooh, this is so heavy-handed," and it's like preachy, basically, I don't think that's, I'd rather have, like, it feel I want I want it to be an opening for thought, instead of, like,
Mhm.
being like, "Oh, here are my thoughts. This is what you need to think." I like the idea of having something be like, "Here's an experience
Yeah.
happening. Like, this is what's happening." Like, my one that's coming out on Monday is kind of around stage fright, not really a social issue, like,
Well, it's a
that
personal
it's
issue,
a it's a
yeah.
personal issue, right? So that one is like it all kinda comes from that, but I'm not trying to say anything about, like, whether or not, you know, having stage fright is good or being like or bad or like, I don't know, that's probably like a
No,
lame
I think you're ri I think you're right, like, the stories that I have gone back to and said, "Oh, you were trying too hard here." I've had moments that, where, like, I'm gonna rewrite that someday, maybe I won't, maybe that's just what it'll be forever, but
Yeah,
because I mean, a lot of what I'm doing on Substack is exploration of stories that I would wanna publish at some point, print, not them they're already being published on Substack, obviously,
yeah,
but. And so not every story I'm gonna return to, like I think everyone's probably the same way. Like sometimes we just write one that we wrote off in a week and we're like, "Well, I liked it. I'm gonna share it with you guys." And then other times we spend a lot more time on it and like really get into it. And then I have stories I'm going to go back to and make longer and everything like that. But yeah, there's a few times when I am really trying to make a political like the stories that were published on Terraform, that site was very kind of it's kind of like part creative writing, part journalism kind of vibes on that, so sometimes those two stories were a little bit more like that, where I'm making a point.
yeah,
Some people misread it, but that's okay.
yeah.
But yeah, so it just depends. I mean, it's more fun not to be making a point when you're writing fiction, I think, not trying to make a point.
Yeah, I think it's really fun when you have made a point where it's like, um, where I feel like for me, the sweet spot is like you don't go in making a point and then like halfway through you're like, "Oh, I'm making a point."
Yeah, look at me, I'm
Yeah.
so intellectual.
Oh, yeah, so smart.
Your characters are making a point. It's not you've been possessed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I think some of my favorite writing is when I just decide to start with like when I do with the monsters, or I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna put them in this situation. I'm not sure where we're gonna go." And, I get to the end and sometimes I'm like, "This isn't quite the end, but this is where we're ending," like, it's 'cause,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just fun it's fun to be like, drawn in by your own characters 100%.
When you sit down to write a story, how do you approach it? Do you, go in with an idea, or is it usually like you just start writing and then see what comes out of that and then be like, "Oh, I can make a story out of this."
I think it always that depends on how big
Yeah,
the story is. If it's short, really short, I will usually have like a beginning and an idea of an end, and then I kind of play around with short stories. And with a book, I'm much more. organized than that, or it'll be madness. Yeah. I'll outline it. I mean, when I do comics, I outline as well, like anything that's gonna be longer. Short stories, I'm a little bit more, pantsy, I do
Yeah.
like and that's just because that's what I enjoy about them. I like to have a vibe and a idea of what I'm gonna do and a subject. I have to have my characters figured out. I like to have my characters figured out, and then I know I'm gonna put them into an experience, and, sometimes they don't go exactly where I expect them to go, but yeah. And maybe so at one point, I'm gonna get a little bit more disciplined when I short story write, but yeah. That's kind of short stories like my therapy, so I don't know if I want to get any more disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pansy, yeah.
I like that pantsy.
Yeah, definitely my short story vibe, but yeah, and I feel like actually, I was just talking to someone on their little YouTube show the other day, and not little, big and grand and awesome YouTube show, and, part of uh, the fun of Substack for me has been, the last couple years now, has just been reading other people on Substack I mean, I love reading horror on Substack. I think I love it more than reading horror not on Substack, which I did not expect to enjoy so much. And just to see how everyone else does it a little bit different, and all the different and there's just a lot of great voices, and I think Substack has just really opened up, like, how many really truly talented people there are out here, like, writing and trying to make it happen, and, it's cool, like, and yeah, and I've been learning a lot of other writers on this platform and their short story approaches, so it's cool that way.
Definitely. I always have to pull myself back because I'll read somebody that I really like,
Yeah.
was incredibly unique, and I'll be like, I'll feel like I'll start writing and I'll be like almost taking their voice a little bit.
You're
Like I'll be like,
channeling
whoa.
them.
Yeah, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Do your own thing, man. Don't try to don't try to be William Paul III. Don't be Garen. Karen's got her own thing.
I just
Um,
read Garen's for the first time,
she's
and
amazing.
yeah, very
Yeah.
good. So that was amazing. Her story for that, it's creepy with the clothespins. Yeah,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
shouting you out,
It's
Garen.
yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you Karen, I think you changed, your story a little bit because in the first in the first version, I have to go back and look and see if you changed it, but there was a blood spray scene. Did that make it in the second version, Karen?
Oh, it wasn't there on the sheets? No, I just wrote it in myself as I was
No,
reading.
there was
There it
definitely
is.
the murder there, but I'm trying to remember if she, the second version had that into it because I read
Oh, yeah, so
the
you guys
version before,
yeah,
and it was so
how did you guys all do that? It looks so awesome. Like that whole big and what is it? Small and Scary, right? Small and Scary.
Oh, I wasn't part of it. I was
You're
just
just reading.
sharing it because I
Okay,
was just
yeah.
reading it. I
I was
still
just
haven't
sharing it too, so I
gotten
was like,
through
it was
all
cool.
of the stuff,
Yeah.
but it so cool. I love that. That's another thing I love about Substack is where um people will just run these events. Like Garen's run a few or a couple now, and then you have like Top in Fiction who's doing
Mhm.
with Erica doing her thing. You got Miguel, the fiction dealer,
Yeah, yep, and then you've got
and
the I got into the Macabre Monday,
Macabre
like,
Monday, of
that
course.
that was right when I first came on,
Same.
and I did Sci Friday a lot. I just can't tag anymore, guys. Just like I was like, "Whatever." It got
I
too
Yeah.
yeah.
Remember that bug? There was a bug on Substack where if you were tagged in a post, then anytime anybody liked that post or responded to it, you would also get the
Yeah, and
notification.
everyone lost their minds. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
It
feel like so I told some people that I didn't want to be tagged anymore, and I felt like that was taken like as a personal thing or something. But I'm just like, you
I
can't do
don't
it.
think so. I think it makes it so much better if you tell someone than just to block them or not engage with them anymore. I don't it doesn't that bothered me, but I just kind of ignored it because I just would look at my ads instead of all, I just wouldn't look at
Yeah.
that. But it was annoying for sure because you got and that's why I think Macabre Monday kind of took it offline, went into the chats and did it slightly different, which I think works pretty well too. But yeah, yeah. So all these little things are really interesting to me, and it does give it just a little like a really fun community vibe, which is nice, and I enjoy that. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Um, yeah, so I I just won. I'm not bragging here. I'm just using this. I was gonna say I just won third place in a
I
writing
I saw
competition.
that. That was
Um,
cool.
but the cool thing is I got paid $60,
Ooh.
right? $60. And so now I get to go and buy a graphic novel from you. Like
Oh my gosh.
I'm really excited about that.
That's
Um,
amazing. You don't have to, but I will
oh,
send you
thank
one, and I
goodness.
will
Well,
send
all
if
right.
I see it, I will send you some cool extra stuff too,
All right,
because
deal.
I'm the
Yeah,
queen of the extra stuff.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
well, that's part of comics, though. I mean, like, when you launch your comics and graphic novels and you go to shows, I mean, people want the stickers, they want the pins, they want the metal bookmarks, the metal plate, they want all the stuff, and
Yeah,
so not everybody wants all the stuff, but enough
I
people do,
do.
so you do. You want all the stuff.
I want it all.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
do you do the art in your comics?
No, God, I wish
Okay.
I did the art. So I do wanna talk about it because,
Yeah,
Anna Weischek is the artist on Mary Shelley's School for Monsters, which is why my Substack is specifically pointed at monsters, by the way. I do also write short fiction on the Substack, but, like, I did it specifically because I wanted to come on Substack and talk about something I knew I'd be able to talk about for years, and monsters is it.
yeah,
And, this is the second book, Mary Shelley's School for Monsters. They're hardcover right now, so they're really beautiful, I'm not the only one involved, so I can brag about it like that.
yeah.
Um, so Anna Weischek and I did an anthology together with these characters before we started, just to see if we could work together, and we had an amazing time. And she's just a great artist. She gets me, and I wanted to explore a bunch of feminine monsters who I felt had been kind of done dirty. I definitely wanted to be inspired by Mary Shelley, but I didn't want to just retell Frankenstein and Mary Shelley. So this character is connected to Mary Shelley, but she's more of an entity that was born out of her and the Necronomicon, or in a cute, cuddly version of it. This is not all ages, but this is like middle grade and up. So
Okay,
Anna and I have done book one and book two,
beautiful.
and we are currently doing the art on book three. I've written the prologue, so she's working on that, and I am desperately trying to finish the rest of the book, which should have been done last year, but for some reason I've had writer's block on the actual completion. But
Yeah,
I got unblocked this week, so I'm feeling positive about it.
that's awesome.
Yes, and so the goal for this first part of the series is it'll be 4 books. And then ultimately, my bigger goal is I would like to partner with a bigger publisher to do, like, the smaller, digest size 6 by 9, paperback, so, like, get it to a larger audience, but that is still hopefully happening, but we'll see. If it doesn't happen, I'll do it, but, like, I think I could do it. So it's been well received, and, yeah, so that's what kinda led me to Substack. I was like, "Oh, I did a newsletter. I have done a newsletter for a long time, but it was just like, "Hey, this is what's going on," and da 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 da, and I was getting kind of, well, I don't know, bored isn't the right word, but not inspired by doing it, and, so I wanted to do something a little more creative with it, and so I came over here. So I liked it, yeah. So that's the graphic novel, so that's where we are. I'd love to start some more. I have a ton of ideas. It's just a little more expensive to do a graphic novel, and, I have to raise the funds, pre-sell the books, do all that stuff, and it just takes a lot of energy and time, and so, I did just get hired to adapt someone's book, but I can't, like, talk about the details, so that's very exciting for me.
What? That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, so that'll be fun to do someone else's story.
Yeah,
I haven't done a ton of that, so that will be cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
The series that I'm writing right now, Cherry Kills, the serial, um, initially I was like, "Ooh, this would be such a cool graphic novel." And
Yeah.
then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. I can't really draw that well."
If you
So, let's
ever
just write it.
wanna do it, we can always come back and talk about it, or I can kinda tell you what I did, because
Yeah, that'd be awesome, yeah.
yeah, there's
I'd love
ways
to
to
hear about it.
raise capital for it,
Yeah,
so once you get yourself, you know, ready.
that's so cool, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there are some articles on Substack about creating a graphic novel or the tools you use and everything,
Yeah.
but I'd love to see something that really goes into the details of that. I think that's maybe what I'm missing out of the Substack articles that are being shared. There's a lot of, of these articles going around where you're like, "I don't care. What do I care
Well,
about this? What
that's
this is
y
cool."
and well, the problem is people someone does care about it. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
you're right.
People get so mad about these articles, and I get it. You're like, but there's a reason they're writing them because somebody's reading them and somebody's wanting to know the information, and it
Yeah,
is kind of I know what you're saying. It's like where's the ones you want to read. With comics, I
exactly.
do think there are some people you can check out, so I can always send those to. I know SIF. I'm a member of SIFWA, and I'm the comics chair over there, and we just did a series of articles that kind of introduce you to it. So what I'm gonna once the other two get posted, I think in the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna share them with everyone on Substack with the links because they're free to read. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, and it kind of tells you the different step-by-step processes, and I think they're really helpful, and they're written by people who have made comics and done it and from different perspectives. So you've got, like, what's the difference between writing for pros and screenwriting and comics? I wrote that one, and then it's like, how do you work with an artist? How do you write a comic? What is break down a comic page? Like, how does a writer interact with that page? How do you explain what you want from the artist? Then, like, how to pitch an editor, which an editor wrote from Mad Cave, so it's not us telling you, it's an actual editor telling you how you should pitch them. And then I think we're gonna do a crowdfunding one and a marketing one, and then it'll be a complete series called The Comics Panel. So it is I mean, it's out there, and I do think there are a
Yeah.
couple I'm rambling, but there are a couple of people I think on Substack who might get into it a little bit, but
Okay.
I have to check if they actually get into it before I tell you. Yeah,
Um, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading those.
yeah.
Sounds cool. Um, yeah.
But wait, I wanted to ask you about
Sure.
this little baby because I did get it.
Yeah.
I've read EJ's, and it's EJ, right? Yeah.
I'll
And
check. Yeah.
then I read yours this morning. I skipped ahead because I was like, knew we were gonna talk. Yours was great. I loved
Thanks. Yeah.
it. Yes, I'm not gonna ruin it for anyone, but I love the idea of going to I just like the whole way you use the writer. It was very I haven't liked a story with the writer as part of the horror in a while, so I did like this one a lot. It was fun.
I know it's so like cliche, right? Like everybody does it. Oh, here's my story. It's about a writer, and I'm a
About a
writer.
writer.
I'm writing too, right? But I was like, oh, whatever. Let's go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, but I enjoyed it a lot. And I thought that you set up this in really great. You At first I was like, "Oh, I hate this guy." And then I was like, "Oh, he's just bumbling through this story." And he said but he was just like a really good balance of being kind of a jerk, but also thinking he was not a jerk, which I like, and then yeah, and I enjoyed it. I don't want to get to it. I thought you did a really good job.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I
Mhm.
love those characters that are kind of like, um, they suck, but they don't know that they really suck.
No, they don't. They're like
They're
well,
not intentionally sucking.
they're, like, internally trying to tell themselves they don't suck
Yeah,
as bad. Like, at one minute, they're like, "I'm terrible," and then the next minute, they're like, "No, maybe not. Maybe I'm not so bad. Like,
yeah.
she knows I'm weak. Why would she let me get into this?" You know?
Exactly. It's kinda her fault, really.
But the writer was just perfect. It was just gold. She was just like I'm like, "This is creepy." I was like
Yeah,
yeah,
I was like, I really wanted to have it be kind of a '60s feel,
yeah,
you know?
it definitely was.
Um, yeah, it was fun. That was one I think I made a playlist for, but I don't remember what I had
Oh,
on
you
there, but
did? That's
yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do that. I do playlists too sometimes, that's fun. Like, I have a playlist for each graphic novel, and I usually have, like, playlists for new scripts I'm doing because it just helps. So, I
Yeah,
notice a lot of
yeah,
people do that kinda stuff on yeah.
yeah. The Cherry Kills one that I'm writing right now it takes place in the '90s, so
Mm,
I'm listening
yeah.
to a lot of, like, the songs that I grew up listening to, kinda.
Reliving your child and all the kids are listening to now? No,
And they're re-listening to it
they're
now.
pretending to listen to them. No, they're listening.
That's the next big wave though, is the '90s, right? We had the '80s
Oh, we're
with the
in the
Stranger
'90s.
Things, and now
We're
it's
in
like,
the yeah, it's
we're
that
already there? Am I
we're
late?
already there. It's,
Oh, so
everyone
yeah,
in
just
LA
listen.
is wearing the Nirvana shirt for the last 10 years
I
under
did see a
yeah,
kid wearing a Nirvana shirt the other day, and I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, "Okay, name one song."
Yeah, I know there's, like, a little cartoon that's like that, "Name a song!" I'm
Yeah,
like,
name a
"I don't
song.
know." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's fine." I mean, I was like, "Oh, I gotta do grunge again? Give me a break. I barely survived the first time of my flannel and my overalls or whatever we were doing. I don't know what we were doing. Yeah.
Overalls,
We
nice.
didn't
That I remember the overall. I even had some overalls, but it was like that was like before grunge. I feel like
It
for
was
me,
right
it was
before
like,
grunge, and then it's you
yeah,
get then everyone's putting the flannels over their old overalls because you don't wanna, like,
oh yeah,
you don't wanna
get rid of
ruin.
'em.
Yeah, you can't buy new things all the time, so yeah, grunge smells like teen spirit, so true.
It
Um,
does indeed.
I find I actually like grunge music better now than I did back then because I was kinda mad at my generation for being so apathetic and
Interesting.
everything was a joke, and I was like, "I don't know if I'm in on this joke." Like, I think I was born in the wrong generation, but then as I grew older, I actually was like, "No, I was born in the right generation."
Like trying to was I apathetic? I don't know. I don't know if I was
It
apathetic,
was
but I
pretend it was not that people were apathetic, it was that they were fronting this.
oh,
I just felt like people were. I mean, it was not a total front, but I felt like there was a lot of pretending that you don't care about things and that you're cool, and I'm like, "I don't think that's true,
is
guys."
it not possible that we all just didn't care and we were all like,
Maybe we
cool?
were all really cool and just didn't care about anything. I cared about
Um,
everything, so I didn't fit
yeah.
in at all. I was, like, so, like, "What is going on in the world?" But, yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't keep up with the notes people are
I
writing.
can't I don't see any of them. I have
Oh.
no idea what's
Oh, I
going
can
on.
see
Hopefully,
them.
nobody's being, like, a jerk in there.
They're right in my face is probably why I keep looking down. They're, like, scrolling by my for me. There we
Quick
go.
question.
Yeah.
No, it says in the chat, quick question at Nick. Oh, wait, is that for Nick? Is that for
Oh, I don't know.
never mind.
We shouldn't well, now look I made you look at the chat.
See, now I'm just
Now we're
gonna,
lost.
like,
Now we're
stare at and it's gonna be really lame for everybody as I go, "Ooh." Um, now what were you talking about? The
well, we
'90s.
got it
No,
stuck
yeah,
into
just
the
the
90s because you were gonna do but
playlists. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's easy to get stuck there.
yeah, but the book is really fun, and it took a lot of effort to get it out, so I
Mhm.
really appreciate you picking that up and everybody else who's picked up the book.
I
Blood in
couldn't
the New
resist this cover. This cover is very good.
yeah, John
And it
T.
who did this cover again? I wanna
John T, yeah,
oh, it's
John
John T
T.
did it. Okay,
Yeah,
got
it's a
it, got
John T original,
oh, that's cool.
yeah, I feel like if you're gonna put out a book, you gotta make sure that you have a good designer who's included
Mhm.
in it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
they're
he does
on
really interesting he's one of the first people I followed on Substack, I think, because we were doing the monster, the sci-fi thing at the same time, and I was like, "Oh, yeah," and he did that weird, thing with the story where it's interactive and you have but it forces you to read it at the pace that he wants you to read it, and I was like, "Oh, that's good
oh,
because
yeah.
we're such cheaters." When I read, I'm like, "Skim, skim, skim, skim. Wait, I missed something. I gotta go back."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so terrible at that. Sometimes I'll be like
Mhm.
I shouldn't say this because then people are gonna be like, don't even read my stuff." But sometimes I'll, like, even start, like, in the middle or the bottom and then work my way up, and I'll see, like I'll look at the pros and be like, "Okay, is this something I really wanna,
Yeah,
s spend my" because there's just so much out there. Do I
there's a
wanna spend my
lot, yeah.
time on this? If a line jumps out at me or a paragraph jumps out at me, I'll be like, "Okay, let's go back to the top," and
It's
Is
important, I
terrible?
mean, even authors I really like, you know, there's, like, in the traditional mainstream, like, way up, I there's books of theirs that I don't read because 'cause I'm not interested in it,
Yeah,
and that happens with Substack people that I really like. I'm like, I'm not interested in this story, but I like 4 of your other stories." So, like, the bottom up I can't do the bottom up, you guys are crazy. I not in
yeah.
horror, if I know how it ends, what am I'm not gonna read it.
I know, it's so lame.
I
It's
mean, my
pretty lame.
favorite thing is when an author ends a story that I would never like, I'm like, "Oh, I think I know what they're gonna do," and
Yeah,
then
I
they
love
end
that.
it in a way I would never end it, and I was like, that would never happen in my story," and I love that because 'cause I'm just
Yeah,
like, "I would never." Ugh.
yeah, yeah.
I was
Um,
yeah,
that's the thing
so
with John T. His stuff, so unpredictable. Like, you can't,
mhm,
you're just you're going in and you're like, "Oh, I have no idea where this dude's gonna go with any of his stuff," which is
yeah,
amazing. It's gonna be really good. So for John's stuff, it's really for me, I trust his writing. Like, I know it's gonna be quality, but also I trust that he's gonna, um, zig where I think he might zag.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yes. I mean, there's a lot of really great I don't wanna start I feel like I'm naming people, and I'm like, "There's so many of you guys out there, I don't want you to feel left out," but yeah, there's, like I have so many Substackers that I love to read,
Yeah,
and to the
same.
point where it's become a little bit of a problem. I'm trying
Big,
to
big problem. Yeah.
well, it's better for me, though, because at night I read horror instead of reading horror, like real life horror on the
Oh,
news,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's like it's nice distraction for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I try not to read that horror. I mean, I get the, the high level, and then
Well, I've
I
been
just
eating
move
my
on.
popcorn the last couple days because 'cause it's been a little silly, but
Well, what's something going on? I don't what are you talking about? I don't know
it's
what you're
I don't
talking about.
know, just
I would
some beef, as we were saying. There's some
Oh,
beef
yeah,
going
beef.
on.
They should have this on Substack, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Get on Substack, have some beef.
yeah, you gotta have a fight every that's what I noticed, I don't have enough Substack fights. I need to have more beef with people, I guess.
But like we were
I
we were talking about before, it's like sometimes there's a beef and you're like, "Oh, wait, is this are you guys is this a
joking?
real beef? Is
Yeah.
this a joke beef? Like what's going on here?"
Oh, it's always funny to me when someone makes something up on Substack and it takes me a minute. I'm like, "Oh, they're making this up.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what's happening." That part I do like, that's fun, but yeah. Anyway, um, oh my gosh. Yeah, I was having, yeah, so I mean, besides writing on Substack and writing our books, we're like I feel like I need to disconnect from Substack a little bit, but I probably won't, so did you do the Friday the 13th thing? The I See You or whatever event that's happening, I think?
I didn't. I don't even
That's
know about that.
I just
Nobody invited me to it.
no,
What the
I don't think
hell?
you get invited, I think it just
Oh.
was out there, I just you no one
Okay.
"Oh, I don't get invited to plenty, you're okay." No, like, we have to get used to that. No.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I it is I think it's one of those it is one of those things that you don't get invited to something, you're like, "Oh, what's
Mm,
going on here? Do you hate me
yeah.
now? You must hate me now."
Yeah, that's really hard as a writer, as a creative person, because even if you don't have the time for something or you don't even really know everybody and you feel like they're all doing something, like, why would it and then you're like, that's not about me. I'm fine.
It's
But
like,
you
"I don't
have to
even have
like
time to do this,
you're
and
just
I'm
like,
mad." Like,
but it is a very writer thing to
"Oh
feel
my."
alienated. And I'm sure every day people come onto a certain platform that is about sharing your work and and people don't read it as much one week or I mean, we'll just talk about the real stuff. I mean, there's a lot of feelings
Yeah.
involved in creation, like, and you have to like when you're trying to do it professionally or just even at an amateur level, you know, there's still a lot of feelings when you put stuff out there. And if you feel like people aren't engaging with it or you feel like someone did something and you weren't included in it, you can get totally sucked into that really bad for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have
anyone
to
can.
really
Like
I
if you have 100 subscribers, if you have 2,000, if you
yeah.
have 200,000, a million, I think everyone can get wrapped up in their feelings for sure.
Yeah, I feel like for me, when I see somebody having an event and I'm like, "Oh, I kinda wanted to do that even though I don't have
Yeah,
any time to do it," um, instead of, like, going toward that direction of being like, all, "Ugh," they just
yeah,
is like, "Oh, I'm not part of this thing." I
yeah.
just I
Brace
I
it.
force myself to be like, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna try to boost this thing up," you know?
Yep,
I'm gonna
that's what I do
become
too.
part of it through adding, like, enthusiasm
Yeah.
and I'm gonna read as much as I can of these things. And it's not that I wouldn't do that if I didn't have these feelings, but I do feel like channeling that helps you as a writer because then it doesn't because you can get into a situation where if you think like that, it doesn't impact your writing
Mhm.
when you do kinda can get into like a writer's block situation or,
I
feel
agree.
insecure about your words, you know?
Yeah, you start double guess. You just start, you're like, "Oh, you do. You'll start double guessing everything you're doing."
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that's like why I've always enjoyed interacting with you on Substack because I feel like we're kind of the same that way. Like I am going to try to be as positive as possible. I'm going to try to be as supportive as possible. I'm going to not read things I don't want to read. I'm not going to force myself to read everything, but the things that I truly do like, and I'm not going to try to be spiteful or cynical or angry or any of that because it's silly. Doesn't do anything.
I'm very cynical and
Well, I mean,
very mean-spirited, but only in the
you,
notes. I don't press send,
oh,
you know? I'm like, "Ugh," and then I'm like, "Oh, no, 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 don't do that."
I I had a post that was on it, a note that was on its way to going viral in a negative way. And I was like, "I'm not doing this." I just started blogging people, deleting it. I'm like, "I'm deleting this note. I don't want all these" the people that were starting to show up were not people I knew. They weren't people I cared to interact with. And I was like, "I'm not gonna sit here and fight with these people for a week. There's no reason." Like, I'm here to write
Yeah,
about monsters. Yeah,
yeah, it'll drain your energy for sure.
yeah. But we do need to see unposted notes. No, we don't. We'd all hate each other.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I
I
mean,
don't know either. I don't have any really bad unposted notes, I don't think. I have ones that, you know what, during the last 10 years, I have n tweets, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, things that I had to get out. This is a weird thing I do, and I wrote it, and I'm like, "Why did I waste all my time writing that? I'm gonna put that in the universe, it's so negative." So I'll email it to myself. Like, I sent it to someone, me, I guess. I
yeah.
mean, and I feel like one day someone's gonna be going through my email and be like, "Oh my god, she's insane." Why is she emailing this weird, rant to herself? Yeah.
The worst is when you spend, like, half an hour on a note
Yeah.
crafting it, and you're like, "Why am I what is this even what am I saying here? Like,
You're
who
trying
cares
not to
about this?"
write. You're trying not to write
That's
is
what
what
it is,
you're
right? You're
Yep.
like yeah, yeah.
Well,
Um,
we've all convinced ourselves, sadly enough, and there's a little truth to it, but I think we've all, having had not grown up, having a time when wasn't online a lot, and now having a time where I am online a lot, I think we've all convinced ourselves that somehow we can save the world or get everyone to understand what we're talking about with one perfect post. You know what I mean? And it's totally
Post for
insane.
the ages, yeah.
Yes, yes, we've all lost our minds because that's not true. But, I mean, watching the current feud I'm not on Twitter or on any of those platforms anymore, but, like, you can't they write news about it now, and it's, when people are having Twitter fights, and you're like, "That's such is that a news article?" Like, it makes me crack up.
You're like, yeah,
Yeah,
live updates. They're
live
like, I don't
updates.
do I need a live update on this, this petty
Apparently, I
little
do because 'cause I'm reading it. I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh, what are they doing?" What
Yeah, we are in a terrible situation.
Yeah,
Ah,
but
it's terrible.
So write
But
horror, write more horror and
yeah,
sci-fi. Yeah, that's what you gotta do. It's the only
yeah.
way. Yeah.
And you've
Um,
done some screenwriting too, is that right?
yeah, originally, when I first came out to Los Angeles, I went to college for film, and, so I came out here, I got the agency job, the agent's assistant in the book and rights, and then I, was a writer's assistant on Keen Eddie, which is this show that lasted for a second. And then I was a development person, and I got an agent with my writing partner, and we went out with a bunch of scripts. At the feature level, we were feature writers, and it was great. I mean, we didn't make a lot of sales or anything like that. And then we both had our kids, and I wrote a script with my husband as well. And
Ooh,
we went out with that, and him and I made a low budget movie that you can find. Very micro, but I want to say micro budget because it was not a low budget, it's a micro budget movie called Own Worst Enemy, which is a sci-fi movie.
cool.
And so yeah, I do film, and so on the peripheral I still like participate in film. So I'm just finished up a couple TV pilots, but the industry is just transforming so much that it's like what is it now, and so I came into when I decided to start writing books and doing comics, I came from a very indie vibe. I wanted to do things very independently because I had done that traditional route, and it just it just felt a lot like when I came into this at first, I was like, I just want to be indie about it. I want to start my own company. I want to figure out comics. I want to, figure out books, and and want to because that's originally what I went to school for, But then I got distracted by screenwriting. It was very fun. It made me think of poetry. It's just like a more that, and so yeah. Anyway, sorry. I went that whole. So I do love writing screenplays. I do love making movies. I just am working on a short to try to do with my daughters for fun this summer, and it's spooky, but, so we'll see if we make it or not. We've threatened each other with a good time on this with the horror. We've threatened to do they wanted us to do a horror movie with them, and we've threatened to do a short with them, and it's just a lot to make a movie, especially with people that you care about because it seems like it's not gonna take a million years, and it is, even when it's, like, 10 minutes long. But I got kind of obsessed with the, Black-Eyed Children last week. Have you heard of them? And
I
so
have a
I
story. I have a story I wrote for a contest
oh, well,
not too
I
long ago, but I didn't get the nod, and I don't know that it's actually that great of a story, but
oh.
it's completed.
Well, I got that's like I did see that thing, the Friday the 13th thing that's happening, and I was like, I was already researching the Black-Eyed Children, and so I'm like, oh, I wasn't gonna write a short story about them, but then I wanted to, and so I not only wrote a short story about them, now I'm writing a script, which is not the short story at all. I was like, oh, because I can't shoot the short story. But yeah, they're weird. I would like to read yours, and I'll let you read mine
Yeah, I'll send it to
eventually.
you. I would love actually, I would love for you to read mine and tell me what
Yes.
you think because I just don't know. I think it's missing something. It's like it's emotional. Um, it's
It's
flash
hard.
fiction, so it's a very emotional, but it's like I think maybe if I extended it, it would be better. But yeah, I'll
Well,
let you
and
read
they're
it.
hard to write about because I was like, "Oh, these got this creepy," and then you're
Yeah,
writing it going, "Oh, but they show up and they got black eyes, like, what am I supposed to do with that?" And you're like, thought and I had a lot of fun figuring out what to do with it, but
yeah,
I don't think it was the easiest because I they're based on this I'm really kind of into these modern urban legends, weird things that come from the internet. I'm like, "What are we doing? I love it. Let's do
yeah,
more of it. Let's create more monsters."
yeah.
Yeah. I we'll see if I'm a cool mom after we film this and they wanna kill me. I'm excited to do it because I get to get those black contacts.
Oh,
I'm
so you're
excited.
gonna be one of the?
I'm not I know I'm gonna film it, because I think it's scarier with the teenager home
Oh,
alone
yeah.
and the things. I mean, I might make an appearance, but I doubt it, but I'm
Yeah.
getting them the black contacts,
I thought
so
you're gonna like wear the black contacts while you film it.
I mean,
And
I might just show
really
up.
get into the spirit of it.
I'm kind of mad at myself for not getting more evil contacts more often just to show up randomly wearing them, like, at some weird meeting that's totally not appropriate.
PTA or
Yeah, I
something.
show up to the PTA with my demon eyes, like, "Hi,
Hi, how's it going?
I'll do the bake sale."
It's a devil's food.
Oh, the DMV driver's license photo. I wonder if they'd even let you.
I
They're
went to get my license photo a few years ago, and I made a face, and they didn't say anything when I
no,
made it,
they love
and
that.
but then they sent me a thing saying, "Oh, you have to retake it." It was, like, too extreme, I guess.
Oh, wait, what face did you make? Let's see it.
Oh, I don't know, I was like,
Oh, that is a little
something like I don't know
yeah,
what it
it
was,
looks
it
like
was
you were gonna
something.
murder somebody.
Yeah, something like that. That's what I wanted to look like. I wanted the police when they came and, pulled me
Yeah,
over
to
for
feel
speeding to
afraid
look
of
at it and be
you.
like, "Oh, yeah. Get out of the car, sir."
Get that in our database. Put that guy in our database right away.
Yeah, so it's been lovely chatting with you. I want to keep chatting for, like, another hour, but I'm supposed to go to a place called Pump It Up with my kids, which is like
Wait,
a big, like, bouncy house type thingy. So, yeah, wish me luck there.
I don't know if I can because didn't I feel like someone just wrote about I no, it's a comedian, Mike, how do you say his last name? Yeah.
Caligula?
He does
Yeah.
a whole thing about, taking his kid there and they get injured. He has a little bit about it.
Ooh, I did see that.
It's very
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
I just watched it last week. I'm like, "Why is this in my head?" And I'm like, "Oh, because I watched some stand-up."
That
Yeah.
was an interesting one because he said something in there that was very, like, off-brand for him, and I was thinking like, "Oh, I don't know."
Yeah, every once in a while, he does go a little off-brand, and it's so surprising because 'cause you're in the special and you're like, "Wait a minute, what" I think I know what you're talking about because I
Yeah.
think I took a minute and just went, "Did he just say that?" But,
Yeah.
yeah. We won't repeat it, guys.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
You're
yeah.
you're gonna have
Out
to
of
go to
context, it
Netflix
would be
and
weird.
watch it yourself. Anyway, well, it was wonderful to talk to you today. Thanks for having me. I wanna do more live, so 'cause
You
I
hear
do like
that,
to chat.
people? If anybody wants to chat. Also, if you ever wanna chat again, that would be amazing because this
Yeah,
has been super fun. And if anybody else wants to chat with either of us, hit us up because we're
yeah,
trying to take the
because 'cause we're
world by
chatty.
storm.
We like to
Yeah,
chat.
we're chatters now.
But only to 90s music. We will only chat to 90s.
That's right, yes. You better show up with Lush or Soundgarden or something,
Yeah,
otherwise
something.
forget it.
I actually was traumatized by, Smashing Pumpkins because I had a roommate who listened to it on
Just over
repeat,
and
like,
over.
this album, like, through her depression, like, a bad breakup, and I was like, "Are you ever gonna turn off Smashing Pumpkins? Have you healed yet? I don't think you're listening to the right album for healing. I could be wrong."
Maybe I need to listen. I'm gonna listen to some of that.
Yeah?
I'm in a
Yep.
Smashing Pumpkins mood right now, because
Alright.
of
Well, I'm glad
the
I
world being a vampire and all that stuff, but
yeah, get in there and do that. Alright, well, it was wonderful to talk to you.
you too, take care.
Alright, bye.
Bye-bye.